Yo, 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 what's up? This is Joe from Judge Innovation Garage in the Peach Capital of the state, baby. All right, boys and girls, I'm gonna get right on to it. I think this is chapter 2. Actually chapter 2 and 3. Chapter 2 is safety. Chapter 3 is vehicle construction. So going to have to just gonna touch a little bit on safety, and then we're gonna keep digging. I ain't gonna take up too much of your time because probably a lot of you, it's turkey day. So here we go, safety, chapter 2. So just be mindful of your space. Nobody wants to get hurt and stuff like that. So you got a couple things. This industry, we deal with a lot of chemicals, and our body is a sponge. Our skin is our number one thing. It will suck up anything. Grease, dirt, oils, chemicals, cleanings, you name it. It's the biggest living organism or living organ on our body is our skin. So you got two different types. I'm just going to touch on safety, and then we're going to keep digging. You got chronic and acute hazards that are encountered in the shop. So a chronic hazard can cause by long-term health damage, usually repeated and prolonged exposure. So for example, breathing sand and dust will gradually fill the air sacs in a tech's lungs, similar to breathing low levels of solid vapor, mist over a long period of time, and can cause liver damage, kidney damage, brain damage, and a lot of other stuff, right? So respirator, fresh air is the best. Your respirator, these respirators, I'll show you. Anybody know how long these respirators last? Now this is not a 3M. This is Harbor Freight. But anybody know you have a leak in your ceiling? No, I don't. I ain't got no leak. Anybody know how long these respirators last? Anybody? What's up? Tables are. So they say 30 hours, 30 contact hours. What's up, everybody? Tables, NBA, Matt, Rebecca. So once, I'm not going to open it. So once you open this and these elements are exposed to the atmosphere, 30 hours, contact hours. So if I take that bad boy and I go in there and I'm sanding, or I'm in there painting, right? This one is no good. So I'm painting, right? And I leave this on the table and I come back 12 hours later, 12 hours, this right here has expired 12 hours because it's constantly absorbing everything in the atmosphere. So once you take them out of the bag, there's another bag inside there. Write down when you took it out, how long you used it, and put it back in the bag. And then go from there. If you got facial hair, it's not going to seal up. You're supposed to wear a spray sock. Spray sock's supposed to be going over. Wear a suit, gloves, respirator, eye protection, and all that good stuff. Does everybody do it? No. Do you need to do it? Yes. Yes. So that's that. Then you got chemical, neurotoxins, blood toxins, and then acute hazard is a hazard that's called by immediate within a few hours. So, for example, unprotected individual will be sensitized to isocyanate vapor or mist. This person will suffer acute reaction whenever a slight amount of isocyanate is present in the air. An acute reaction, isocyanates cause asthma-like symptoms. sensitivity individuals should not work in collision repair shops to further exposure. So another thing is, I have a friend that wore everything, all of his mask, his fresh air suit, his fresh air hood, and everything. He was really big on his PPE, his safety stuff. And then all of a sudden, one day he broke out in the hives, couldn't figure out what it was, and then he would get sick when he would eat meat, like hamburgers, hot dogs, stuff like that, and then come to find out, he had isocyanate poison, and he cannot even be around. You can literally take a rattle can of paint and spray it in the air, and if he walks by it and it gets on him, he'll break out in a rash. All right. Fire hazard, make sure you got good housekeeping. Fire extinguishers, make sure you got the right fire extinguishers. And combustible waste such as oily rags, solvent rags, stuff like that, put them in a fire thing and empty your trash every night. Fire extinguishers, you have several different types. You have Class A fire extinguishers, which is ordinary combustible materials such as wood, paper, textiles, and soda ash bicarbonate or sodium solution or sulfur. So you got type A, then you got type B, which is flammable liquids such as grease, gasoline, oil, and paints. Requires a blanking or smothering it out. And then you got Class C, which is electrical motors, and a motor is an electric motor, like an alternator or a generator. An engine is what's in the car, okay? Switches and non-conductive. Also, you can use foam, and then you got Class D, flammable such as magnesium, lithium, batteries, and stuff like that. That's dry chemicals, okay? You got electrical hazards, noise, injury. Then you got your PPE, like when you're welding and cutting, make sure you wear your gloves, welding helmet, safety gloves, long sleeve, straighten, leather gloves, grinding, safety glasses, face shield, dust mask, leather gloves, ear protection, long pants and sleeve, no hay-dos, boots, dry sanding, safety glasses, dust mask, working gloves, ear protection, wet sanding, safety glasses, and cotton gloves. When you're painting, make sure you wear safety glasses, paint suit, spray sock, neoprene gloves, cartridge, respirator, and supplied air. Supplied air. What's up, Ginger Rogers 711? All right, so that's the safety stuff. You got eye wash stations. These masks right here are dust masks. They're not paint masks. This is a paint mask, okay? Make sure it has the right cartridge, okay? Not going to do much more about on the safety. Now we're going to get into vehicle construction. I just touched bases on the safety part. Everybody said they didn't really care about the safety, but I just wanted to go over it. If you got a question on safety, let me know. All right, chapter 3 is vehicle construction. So this is whatever. So this chapter, there's vehicle construction. So you got full frame vehicles, which has a body and body and the frame are separate, okay? So anything that has a chassis or a frame underneath it, that is a full frame vehicle. Full size trucks, these trucks here, big trucks, some SUVs, Suburbans, you know, Tahoe, stuff like that has a chassis underneath it, okay? Then you have unibody. A unibody is where the frame rails in the front and the frame rails in the back are incorporated into the body itself. So that would be like your small cars, your Mustangs, your 65 Mustangs, they're unibody. Your Camaros are unibody, which the Camaro has a subframe that you can unbolt, but it's still a unibody car because it don't have a chassis. Your new import cars like your Hondas, your Cruises, your Camrys, some of your SUVs are unibody. Those are unibody, okay? Then you have drivetrain orientation. So you have rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, and all-wheel drive on demand, okay? So you have right here. So you have rear-wheel drive where you have the engine in the front. Yeah, so is it Jana Beeks? Yeah, I have like 25 years in this at the college and doing it. So I teach this at the college as well. And Ginger Rogers 711 and some other guys said, man, you ought to just go through the book every Wednesday and do a chapter. So last week was chapter 1. Today is chapter 2 and chapter 3, which chapter 2 is safety. Everybody knows how to be safe. And chapter 3 is vehicle construction. So that's what we're doing now. So on some cars, you have rear wheel drive. So you have the engine in the front. So this is the front. You have the engine in the front. You have a transmission, which is a manual or an automatic. Then you have your drive shaft, and then you have the rear end, okay? And then on front wheel drive cars and SUVs, you have the engine and the transaxle in the front, and the back wheels are just floaters. They're called a dead axle. Then you have vehicles that have the engine, four-wheel drive, or engine, transmission, transfer case, front drive shaft, front differential, rear drive shaft, and rear differential. So the engine runs the transmission, then the transmission runs a transfer case runs a gear here, this gear here runs this drive shaft runs the front end, which makes the two front wheels pull, and also it runs the drive shaft to the back to makes the two backwards. So that's an all-wheel drive, okay? So just going through that a little bit. All right, so you got body styles, you got sedans, coupes, and station wagons. So A is a sedan, B is a coupe, C is a station wagon, D is a hatchback, E is a convertible, F is a minivan, G is a sports utility, and I'm gonna show you the different pictures right here. So right here are the different types. So it says commonly recognized, blah, 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 A. So, you know what? I got another book. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. So I can read it exactly what it says. All right, so we're gonna do it like this. So, all right, so right here. So A, which would be this, is a sedan, and B is a coupe, and then C is a station wagon, D is a hatchback, E is a convertible, and then F is a minivan, and then G is a sports utility or SUV, okay? All right, and then you have your trucks, which have a regular cab with 2 bucket seats. Then you have extended cab, slightly larger with an extra cab in the back. Then you have a 4-door. So here is a Chevette. A Chevette would be a unibody. So here's a single cab, here is a king cab, and then here's a 4-door, right? You have a Dodge. You know what Dodge stands for? You know what Dodge means in the dictionary? So pickup truck and a bed. So that's that. Material types. Vehicles designers constantly strive for ways to reduce weight reduction without compromising safety. Reducing the weight of the vehicle can help improve fuel economy. However, government safety standards require that the vehicle be compatible to protecting the vehicles. Dodge means dodge. Get out of the way. All right, I'm back. So, remember to take the weekends off. So Dodge means dodge. Dodge. Means get out of the way. All right, so you have, you know, the other day when I was talking and I said you had different types of steel. Just because you can replace it don't mean you have to, don't mean you can replace it. This is what I was telling you right here. So if you look right here, let's see if I turn this around. All right, so you see right here, you got different colors, right? Different colors in there. So you got different colors, right? So the different colors is the gray is mild steel, blue is high strength steel, and then the red is advanced high strength steel. So by doing that, they have reduced the thickness of the material, which, for example, most stuff was like 16 gauge or 8th, or not 8th inch, Lord have mercy, not 8th inch. Most of the stuff is like 16 gauge, right? On your older stuff. They making this metal thinner, the thickness. So it's like 24, 26, 28 gauge. So higher the number, thinner the metal. Well, they're making thinner metal, but they're making an advanced high strength steel. So once it's damaged, it cannot be fixed, right? 8.8 over. So Explorer 8.8 all-wheel drive is posi. Not necessarily. It could be a limited slip. It could be a limited slip. So I have a 8.8 that came out of an Explorer two-wheel drive that had a limited slip that had, I got you, the rear end. So I had a 8.8, I got an 8.8 rear end out of a Ford Explorer, single cab, or two-door, that was two-wheel drive, and it had a limited slip, factory positive unit, and it was geared 373. So if it's a limited slip, then yes, it would be a posi unit, meaning that both wheels pull because it has a limited slip in the diff mechanism. It's not a one-wheel peel. But being this all-wheel drive, I wouldn't know without looking at the, I wouldn't know unless you looked at the housing and the number on it to know if it was a limited slip. I would guess that it was probably a limited slip or / positive traction, but it's not positive all the time. All-wheel drive will make positive because everything turns in sync. All-wheel drive will make positive because everything turns in sync. But it's still going to be limited. It won't. It is positive. All wheels are pulling, correct. But they would have to be limited slips because when you go to turn at the stop sign or turn in a parking lot, the inner wheel is going to have to slip and the outer wheel is going to go around. So think of it like this. If you're driving and it's a positive unit and it's a locker, okay, it's a locker, and you go to turn, this wheel is traveling less rotations than this wheel because this wheel is further out. And that's when it's going to go, So limited slip, which is still positive. So if you snatch it, there's a little mechanism there. Once it gets so much force on the spring, it locks in and it makes both wheels spin, which both wheels are pushing. And then when you let off of it, it goes back to just an open, not a really open diff. It just goes back normal because when you go to turn, the outer wheel has to catch up with the inner wheel because it's making more revolutions and vice versa. So if it was all-wheel drive all the time, you wouldn't be able to turn. It would make sense. Okay, cool. So you got steel. Steel is alloy, most common used material in manufacturing. Steel is an alloy. An alloy is a metallic substance that consists of metal and at least one more alloy element. Okay. Mild steel is a carbonate, approximately 25%. Small amounts of other elements such as magnesium, silicone, copper can be found in mild steel and full frames. Mild steel frames and body panels are made from mild steel. All right, the yield strength, amount of force that permanently damage the shape of a metal, mild steel has a yield strength of 30,000 pounds per square inch. So that means one square inch can take 30,000 pounds of pressure, PSI, to damage that piece, okay? All right, so there's two types of mild steel manufacturers. You have drawing steel, which is DS, and deep drawing steel, which is DDS. Drawing steel is the most common type of steel used in vehicles. Deep drawing steel is a lower yield steel than draw steel, allows it to bend into complex shapes, okay? High strength steel has a different chemical composite than mild steel. Additional alloys elements in high strength steel include magnesium, phosphorus, sulfur, silicon, copper, nickel, chromoly, or chromium, and molybdenum. The carbon content of high strength steel may be as high as 75%. These two types of category high strength steel. So basically, it's more components, more elements to make it high strength steel, and it has a yield strength of 50,000, okay, which causes crater damage. All right, then you have one type of conventional high strength steel is called high strength low alloy steel, which is HSLA. High strength steel, low alloy steel contains a very small amount of carbon instead of various combinations of other alloys that are used to produce various strengths of HSLA steels. The greater the strength of the conventional high strength steel part compared to the mild steel part is caused by small and uniform gain structures to conventionally high strength steel. All right, so heat in excess of a vehicle manufacturer limits the change of small grains in the metal. So like annealing and stuff like that. So if you take a piece of metal, and you heat it up, right, the molecules in it run away, right? So if I heat it up, let's say it's hit, right, and it's damaged, and I English wheel it out or air hammer it out or hammer and dolly it out, then what I'm doing is I'm taking that steel and I'm stretching it. So therefore, it's stretching where it's at. So there's more steel in the spot than it was when it first started, meaning all the molecules were pushed. That's when you get the oil can effect. When you got something and you go and it goes and you got a dent, or you're trying to fix something and you push on it, it goes boom, 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 boom. So what that is you have more molecules pushing against themselves in a situation where two things can't occupy the same space, right? So you have to shock it to bring it back. So you can heat it up. And I recently, you would heat a piece of steel up and then you would quench it with a rag with water, or you would air blow it and it would shock it and make it bring back. I've been watching this guy. This is where I was telling you guys the other day, it's always classroom. It doesn't matter where you at or how you're at. So I've always been taught that if you have a dent, you need to heat it up and then quench it with water with a rag or air blow it to shock it to make the molecules tighten up, right? To get where it needs to get. I've been watching this guy I've been watching Mike at Cornfield Customs LTD. He's on YouTube and he's on Facebook. He said that is inaccurate. Don't do that anymore. Let the metal cool down on its own and it will go back to its original state to somewhat. So if I had an oil can here, like if it's a dent and I hammered it out, then I heat it up and let it go back. So, learned something, okay? So you got high strength steel contains different types of alloys and elements that conventional and high strength steel. One distinctive alloy element used in advanced steel is boron, B-O-R-O-N. Advanced strength steel has a yield point up to 200,000 PSI. So you think about it, you got these vehicles around the compartment where the occupants are. They are putting advanced high strength steel to protect the driver because it takes so much force to distort it. and then they do crush zones in different spots of the car that are made to absorb the force and push it away from the driver. So back in the old days, everybody's like, man, I'd rather be in a 1969 Cadillac. I wouldn't get killed in that thing. You would die like a toad on the street. You'd die because all that energy is running through the whole car, through the steering column into you, and you can't handle it. So the safety now has took high strength steel and mild steel and advanced high strength steel, and they've built around the engine around the occupant around the where the car is to absorb this force to push it away from the drivers, okay, to be safety, all right? So then you have most damaged advanced high strength steel components cannot be repaired. They must be replaced. Some types of advanced high strength steel are dual phase, which is DP, transformation induct plasticity, right? So they're trip. In order to protect the occupants, like I was saying, with a stronger vehicle, but made the vehicle lighter for better gas mileage, this conventional we use in high strength steel will increase the future. In 2010, so this is 14 years ago that this print was, one of the manufacturers will produce vehicles with composite of 50% more conventional advanced high strength steel, and it will keep going. So in 1992, only 5% of the vehicles had high strength steel in it, 5%. So fast forward from 1992 to 2010, 2015, 50% had more advanced steel in it just in that short of a time. And now, if we would pull up, it's probably way higher than that now. Another type of steel used in vehicles is laminated steel. Laminated steel is made of 2 layers of steel bonded together with a solid layer of adhesive. This advantage of laminated steel over conventional single layer steel is less noise. Drivers and a vehicle even run an engine will cause the vehicle panels to vibrate. The vibration can be felt and heard in the vehicle. So a lot of people will kick on panel bond, right? Oh, I just rather weld it. You can't break, I'd rather weld it and put that panel bond. I'm telling you right now, panel bond has been on vehicles for decades, and it's really been used now in the last 10 years. Panel bond, most of all your big trucks and everything are panel bond. A lot of your high-end cars are panel bond. They're not welded, they're panel bond. We just took regular steel, we prepped it, right? Just regular steel. We prepped it, we put panel bond on it, we clamped it together, we let it set for X amount of time the way it's supposed to. We hooked the clamp on one side and a clamp on the other side, and we put it in the frame machine. We took 2 pieces of metal and we panel bonded them together. Then we took 2 pieces of metal and we plug welded them, right? Then we took 2 pieces of metal, we plug welded them and panel bonded them, and we stuck them together. We hooked 2 chains to both sides, put it in a frame machine, put a blanket over the chain, and we started pulling on both of them. Dunk, 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 to see how much pressure it would take to rip them apart. The panel bond, one that was panel bond, because the one with the plug welds and the panel bond, we was just playing just to see what it would do. The panel bond took way more pull force than the plug weld. And it actually didn't rip the panel bond off. It actually ripped the metal. Literally, if I took the metal like this right here, like a piece of paper, if I took a piece of paper and done that right there, that's how it done the metal. It just ripped it in part, like you just. So you can kick on panel bond all you want to. It has a type of material, I don't want to call it glass, that keeps it from being clamped 100%, so it gives it that mechanical and that chemical bond, all right? Aluminum is increased in vehicle construction. Some vehicles have aluminum body parts such as fenders, hood, deck lids, radiators, engine cradles, bumper reinforcements. Aluminum alloy has came a long way. I mean, there is a lot of vehicles out there that are like the aluminum trucks. So when you're doing aluminum repair, now aluminum's been around forever. Some of your Land Rovers back in the day had aluminum. Some of your old Mustangs had aluminum hoods on them. A lot of people didn't know that. They had aluminum hoods. Some of the trucks had aluminum hoods on it. A lot of people didn't know that, and they scrapped it, thought it was steel, but it was actually aluminum. A lot of new vehicles have aluminum on them, and you have to learn how to repair that aluminum the right way, okay? You cannot use the tools that you use on steel vehicles and use the same tools that you use on aluminum vehicles, because you will contaminate, because you will impregnate the metals with each other, and they don't like each other. You have to use a completely different room. Different welders, the spot welders that spot weld it, they read in your high-end shops, like when you plug welding or you're doing a, what's the word I'm looking for? When you're using a spot welder, one of those pro spot welders, it actually records. Every time you push the button, it records how long it was pressed, how thick it was, how much force, and it's on a ticket, and you take that ticket and you put it with the repair order, so you know that the insurance company knows that and liability knows that that vehicle was fixed according to manufacturer specs. Just because your buddy can do it in the backyard don't mean it's right, okay? So you got alloys, aluminum are divided into two types. You got wrought and cast. Either type can be heat treated or non-treatable. So then you have cast aluminum, like your shock towers or cast aluminum, stuff like that. Cast aluminum can't be welded. You got magnesium. It's lighter than aluminum, but just as strong. Parts made with magnesium include radiator support, some pickups, instrument panels, support, types of pickups. Damaged magnesium parts should be replaced, not repaired. Never heat or weld magnesium parts. They will catch fire and you will not be able to put them out, okay? Then you got plastic. You got flexible plastic that can be easily distorted and returned to its normal shape. You got semi-rigid plastic, what can be distorted but not easily returned as flexible plastic. And then you got rigid plastic, which is less flexible plastics, include plastics before breaking, like your rear hatches, your doors, your hoods, your cowls, and stuff like that. Your semi-ridge is like radiator fan shrouds, stuff like that. And then your flexible plastic is like your corners, your bumper covers. They pop out and pop back in, okay? I know this stuff is boring, and a lot of people, they don't care nothing about it. They just want to work and trial and error, but hopefully this will give somebody some information where it can help them out. So, and some of this stuff is pretty common, but some of it, people don't know nothing about it. Glass. Glass can be much more than a window. Glass is used in unibody vehicles designed to strengthen the unibody. So what that means, you got a Honda Civic, right? You take all the glass out of it, you just compromise the integrity of the structure of the vehicle, because the glass is a part of the structure. Glass can be easily classified as fixed or movable. Fixed glass is set in place and cannot be opened. Windshields and back glass are an example of fixed glass. Most movable glass, like roll up and down, but some van windows have glasses that are open. You got two types of glass. You got laminate and tempered. Laminate glass is made of two layers of glass with a thin layer of plastic in between them. Laminate glass is used for the windshield. This resistant penetration holds back piece of broken glass to help prevent injury, shows that broken laminate, right? Tempered glass is a single layer of glass that is used on windows except the windshield. It is harder than laminate glass, but can withstand greater impacts. When tempered glass breaks, it shatters into small pieces or shards rather than long, jagged pieces. When you bust the glass out, it goes into a zillion little pieces. Here's something else. Tempered glass, you can hit it all day long. Not with something sharp. You can hit it on the outside and it will take a beating. You hit it on the corner and she will, they got those pop sticks too, that you use. So same thing with the glass in your bathroom. So if you have a walk-in shower and you have the sliding glass, that is a tempered glass. But if you hit that bad boy on the edge, she's going off. All right. Let's see. Let's talk about a few things on the vehicle. So, this is some of the stuff on the vehicle. You got the hood, the front, the windows, the doors, the bumpers, and the fenders, okay? And you got the deck lid, and this part here is not the rear fender, it's the quarter, okay? And then that's the sail panel, and that's the rocker, that's the rear door, that's the front door, that's the front fender, this is the front bumper, that's the hood, that's the roof, and then there's the lower rocker, and then you got the door. A lot of people say, hey, I got a dent in my fender, can you fix it? And then they'll bring it by and it's back here at the back. And I was like, no, that's a quarter panel. And he's like, well, same difference. And I said, yeah, I guess so. Let's see. All right, so here's a unibody car. Right here, there's a unibody where the front suspension or the cradle will bolt to the body and the rear end will do the same. So that's a unibody exploded view. There is a chassis, right? So like in your trucks and stuff, you unbolt this and the body comes up and all your running works is on this, okay? So that's a frame, and you can see the color chart where it shows the different steels. I appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate it. Hey, I about forgot. I'm gonna be honest with you. I about forgot I was underneath the truck. I'll show you that when I get done. Let's see. I kind of just jumped through this. So you got the engine cradle. All right. So here's the engine cradle. So there's usually 6 bolts that hold the engine cradle to the subframe. So you can take those 6 bolts out and your whole front suspension Hold on a second. Hi guys, I'm currently at a shop putting a F10 on an M5 quarter panel. All right, Jason, are you spot welding it? Are you spot welding it? Well, I don't, Ginger, I don't have no clocks. There's no clocks in here. So Jason, welcome to the channel. Glad you're here. So, you were working on a F10 M5. What is that? Are you talking about like an M5, like a BMW? What are you working on? So let everybody that's on here, are you panel bonding it or are you spot welding it? And did you have to splice it in certain locations when you replace the quarter panel on that? All right, so right here, this is assembly line, right? Right here is where it's coming through and it's getting painted. Right here is where it shows you that this is where the vehicle is getting spot welded and welded right here in this figure here. So vehicle safety ratings is measured of a vehicle's crash worthiness, right? I think Subaru, and I may be wrong if somebody can correct me, I think Subaru has the highest crash ratings. The last time I read on it, I think Subaru has the highest crash ratings. So how that is determined, it says, it is determined by measuring the amount of damage a vehicle can sustain to the potential of the occupant's injury that occurs when a vehicle is subject to a standardized test. There are 4 basic types of safety ratings: frontal, side, roof, and rear. All right, hold on a second. Jason's back. Yeah, BMW. Okay, I thought that's what it was, M5. 2015, yes, splice the top rear door and the lower door. And all right. So I'm gonna show you what he's talking about. Page 58. So he is doing the rear lower. Okay. So right here is a view. So he's doing the rear quarter, and he said that he had to splice the top of the rear door. So somewhere in here, there was a chart that he looked at on his end through BMW where he could splice it at here. And then he also said the lower rear door spot weld of the new rear door. So back here, it showed him where he had to, the lower rear door and spot welds across the bottom. And I bet you that his machine that he's using is probably a Pro Spot or something of that nature, and it is recording every time that he pulls that trigger on that spot weld. All right, so to arrive at the frontal impact rating, the two standardized tests, collision test performed with a full frontal test and a frontal offset test. So what that means, yeah. So it says right here, when doing the frontal test, it says the frontal test, full frontal, full width frontal, and a frontal offset. So a full frontal is, so this is the vehicle, looking at the top, this is the vehicle, right? Full frontal, right? Then it says an offset. So they'll offset it to one side like this, and then they'll offset it the other way and they'll hit that side, okay? Is a standard test in the United States, while the frontal offset test is a standard in other countries. I wonder why that is. So while the frontal offset test is standard in other countries such as Japan and Australia, in a full width frontal test, two test dummies are positioned in the front seat or the seats of the vehicle, and the vehicle is propelled into an unmovable barrier at 35 miles an hour. So basically what they're saying is, everybody's seen the crash dummy test, right? You got the two dummies in there, and they hit a block wall that's non-movable, means it cannot go anywhere. It's there, cannot go nowhere. That means all that energy, if you don't know physics, there's a formula, I can get it for you, I got it in my book, that when this vehicle is running 35 miles an hour, everything in the vehicle is running 35 miles an hour. Even you sitting in the front seat, you're running 35 miles an hour. And when you hit that brick wall that's immovable, all that energy is going into that block wall and it's coming back because it's giving back. That means everything inside of you, your organs are running 35 miles an hour, and all of a sudden they stopped and they went forward. Everything just lunged forward, okay? That's why some people get so bad hurt. The entire front vehicle is hit the barrier. The movement of each dummy is measured to determine the potential injury to the head, chest, and the legs. If the dummy has less than 10% chance of sustaining life-threatening injury, the vehicle receives a 5-star from the frontal impact rating. See? That's real world right there. Jason said, yep, he's using a Pro Spot welder. It records the penetration of the weld heavy piece of the kit. So every time he pulls that trigger, it's recording how long. Now he had to set that machine up, and he told it what he was doing, and it measured. And then he pulls the trigger according to the specs of BMW, and it spot welds those panels together, and then it prints it off on a ticket, or it does it on a file, a PDF file, or ever how it's stored, and then that's attached to the repair order. So if anybody questions, Jason did not repair that BMW correctly. He pulls out his little handy dandy notes and says, yes, I did 118 spots, and every one of them met the standards. So he fixed it the way he was supposed to fix it. So in a frontal offset test, only 40% of the drivers of the front vehicle, which is moving at 40 miles an hour, hits the barrier. The barrier is not totally rigid. Instead, the vehicle impacts the deformed aluminum face of the barrier. The amount of deformation of the vehicle's passenger compartment, overall damage to the vehicle, and the movement of the dummies are evaluated. The vehicle's safety ratings of good, acceptable margins, or poor is calculated by the factor of many criteria such as whether the test dummy's heads were partially ejected from the vehicle, if the test dummy chest hit the dashboard, or if fuel leak systems in the floor moves back, okay, and traps the dummy's feet, the hood moves back into the passenger compartment. The two tests used to determine the site of impact rating. In one test, the vehicle stationary, a 3,000-pound sled moving at 38 mile an hour hits the driver door at an angle at approximately 60 degrees. So that means it's stationary and then it hits it at 60 degrees at 38 mile an hour, and then that's another one. So that's how another test. Then they do a roof test. I'm not going to go through all that because it breaks it down in compression ratio, 35 to 25 to 1, 3 to 9 to 1. There's a lot of physics that goes into that. But that is basically how, if they check all these boxes and they have a percentage, then they get a rating. That's how they do it. Other countries are more strict than the United States on ratings. And there's some countries that are less strict than the United States. We are not at the top and we're not at the bottom, okay? Let's see. So that's basically about it. About 46 minutes. That's not too bad. Anybody got any questions? Jason can probably tell us something. So Friday, I'm gonna go live Friday. So that's chapter 2 and chapter 3, safety and a little bit of vehicle and construction. Next week will be chapter 4, which is fundamental of collision damage. Different types of stuff like arrowhead, bent versus kink, buckle, collapse hinges, crown, diamond, stuff like that. So come back next Wednesday at 5, live at 5 for chapter 4. And Friday at 5, I'm gonna do Q&A. So I'm gonna see how long it goes. If we get a lot of foot traffic, I'll stay on there long. If not, or whatever. So we're gonna do a Q&A. I wanna see your Chevy. That's where I'm going. Can you tell my dad? Wait a second. Can you tell on my end, car parts at the moment? Yeah. All right. So what Jason says, I'm picking up. Can you tell on my end, car parts at the moment are painted? All right. They are better, Jason. They are better now than they were, but they're not better. They're not as good as they were. I'll put it to you like that. So what Jason is saying is probably the number one complaint and the number one holdup, other than the insurance company being greedy with their money and don't want to pay, is parts. The availability of parts. The availability of parts. I'm not going to say what happened in 2020, but I think that they realized that we get a lot of parts from overseas, from vendors. And they realized that supply and demand. If the demand is up, and the supply is down, then the price goes up. If the supply is up and the demand is down, then the price goes down. But if the demand is high and the supply is high, but they control the supply, they can still run up the price and run up how long we get stuff. So for an example, I ordered something and it said, when I ordered it, it said 14 business days before I would even get an email confirmation. I paid for it and it said 14 business days. Not 14 days, 14 business days. So you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's 5. Then you got Saturday and Sunday, that's 7. Can't count 7, all right? Then you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's 5 more days. Saturday and Sunday, that's 4 more days. That's 14 days, but only 10 days on the clock. Then the next week, you got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's 14 days. I got 2 more days on the clock. So that's 2, 4, 6 days on the weekend and 5, 14. So we're up to 20 days. It took me 31 days to get a part that I ordered. And then when I got it, it was wrong. FedEx damaged it when I got it. FedEx damaged it. So I waited 31 days to get a part. Once I got it, then it was broke. And I had to get it reordered. And it's going to be another 31 days. It's supposed to be here Friday, but I don't believe it's going to be here Friday because of the holidays. It took my wife waiting 4 months on collision. She will never hit her deer again. Yeah. So I understand that. Jason understands that. It's just bananas. All right. So we was having to total loss of car because the parts didn't come out, no ET. Yeah. So what Jason is saying is they had a vehicle, like I was talking about the other day, you know, if it breaks the 60% of what the book value is on the vehicle, or 65%, they total the vehicle. So the vehicle is worth $10,000. If it's got $6,500 worth of parts, then or $6,500 worth of repairs, it's totaled. But let's put it in this case. Let's say Jason had a car that only was $3,000 to fix it, and the car was worth $10,000. Well, that's only 30%. Well, it sits in his yard and he charges $100 a day for storage. Well, in 7 days, that's $700. Well, another 7 days, that's 14. Another 7 days, that's another 7. Another 7 days, that's another 14. So he's got $2,800 in storage, $3,500 in repairs. It's broke the $6,500 mark. They totaled it because they couldn't get the parts to fix it, even though the car could be fixed, but we didn't have the parts to fix it. So the car gets... That's why the salvage yards are slam full of vehicles. You're like, why in the world they didn't fix that? Man, that's not that bad. That's why. All right, so this is what happened on the... Yep. See, there's a lot of people... See, I want to bring a light to the other side of this world. You know, that me and Jason and the other guys that we deal with, and they're like, well, why didn't you hurry and get my stuff up? Man, it's not me. I'm waiting on parts. We are at the mercy of getting parts, right? Now, Amazon and stuff like that, there's a lady that I know that reached out the other week. She hit a deer and messed up the front bumper, the headlight, and the grill on her Honda, okay? For some reason, I don't know, I'm just telling you what I was told. The vehicle, she went to the shop. The headlight was cracked. It still worked. They put a bulb in it. It worked, but it was still cracked. So, and they fixed it so she could drive it because that was the only thing she had to drive, and she didn't want to keep it at the lot, you know, because it's running up the bill. After 3 months, they said they still hadn't got a headlight, a grill, and a hood. So she asked me if I could fix her vehicle. And I was like, I could try to work it in, but I don't know if I'll be able to get to it. We are at the discretion of the parts. She said, well, I've already waited 3 months. Hold on a second. Where were you in 1988 when Undertaker threw Mankind off the hell in the cell? What month in 98? What month was that? And I'll tell you. Oh, you want to see my 5.4? Okay. So I don't even know where it's at. So anyway, I told her back to the Honda. I told her, I said, we at the discretion of the parts. She said, I've already waited 3 months and I can't even get no, I'm still waiting on parts now. I said, well, if you've been waiting 3 months on parts, you're probably going to wait another 3 months. She says, I found him on eBay. I said, found what on eBay? She said, I found the bumper cover, the headlight, the grill, and the hood on eBay. Can I have it drop shipped to your shop? And then, yeah. So You're right, Jason. So she gave me the price, and I said, that don't sound right. She said, what do you mean? I said, that don't sound right on the headlight. Well, that's what it is. And I mean, it was like dirt cheap, like 30 bucks, 40. I said, I don't think that's right. Yeah, it is. I put my stuff in and it said, this fits your car. And I'm like, okay, can you send me what you have? Can you send me that? Oh, yeah, yeah. You click on it. It's just the headlight. It's just the housing. It's not the sensor on the back that tells it to go from daylight running. It's not, there's nothing on it but the housing. I said, that's just the housing. You need the whole light. Well, that is the whole light. I said, no, that's just the housing. You need the electronics that go with it. Well, where you get that at? I said, you get it from when you order the headlight. So I looked up the headlight, and it was expensive, like $600 for the headlight. Just crazy. So I don't know what she did. Speaking of headlights, I had a buddy that had a Land Rover. It wasn't a brand new one. It was like probably 2019, 2020, somewhere around in there. The front headlight went out on it, and there was a little noise in the rear end. The diff was popping, and there was some stuff going on with it. He took it to the Land Rover dealership and to check out the rear end, and they said, well, they could do this to try to Band-Aid it, but it probably needs a rear end and stuff like that. Yeah, you have to code it to the car. That's right, because it don't know what it is. See? Yeah. I'm glad you're on here, Jason, because you can help back up what I've been telling. So my buddy took his Land Rover over there to check out the rear end. And he's like, well, this, that, whatever, we could fix it. You know, we could do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, the headlight was out. And he said, hey, look, my front passenger, one of the headlights was out on the front. And they was like, oh, yeah, we can take care of that. They come back to him and told him it was $4,200 for the headlight assembly. That was everything. Turnkey out the door. That, you know, $4,200. He said, how much y'all give me for this thing? And I was like, what? And he said, I'll just trade it in. I'll just sell it to y'all. What do you give me for it? And he got rid of it because he'd already seen a problem. I mean, 5 G's for a headlight. It is a Land Rover, but it is what it is. So, I'll give you a little update. What happened today? So here's the 86. Here's the 86. So I got the rear shocks. I got the rear shocks mounted. I got the panhard bar in. I'm pulling the wires for the controller. Like I told y'all the other night, that I popped out the hole right there for the harness. I got to open it up just a little bit because the plug will not fit through it. So that's that. And I got the battery charging. I cranked it up earlier today and it was kind of weak, so I put the battery charger on there. So that's that. So I got it on jack stands on the front, and I got it on jack stands on the back, and then I got the rear end jacked all the way up with jack stands underneath it because I've been crawling underneath it, and I don't need it to pancake on me. So that's that. And Ginger Rogers, you said you want to see my 54, right? She's dirty. So I'll have to take you out here and show it to you here in a second. So let's see. Let me open the door and I'll show you. Hold on one second. I uncovered it the other day, but so right there it is. I like her dirty. I uncovered it because I'm gonna wash it. It's got a lot of dust on it, but there's the top. I did the top. It has a look at the wind blowed all the leaves. It has a small block that I built back in 2008. It's fuel injected. It's got a Phytech fuel injection system on it with a blower. Like I said, it's dirty. All right, just hold tight, hold tight. Right there, so there's that, and there's the Impala. It's done. I got to put the wheels on it. There's the frame rails. There's the frame rails for the 61 Ford box truck, and there's some black walnut that I ripped down, that I'm gonna rip down some more, and that black walnut is going in the bed of that truck. So let me shut this door. I got my heat on. Let's see what it says. Nice. Well, that's cool. That's about it, boys and girls. So the 61 Ford box truck, that's the 61 Ford box truck. That's 61 Ford box truck. That's the chassis rails for it. The other suspension stuff's probably gonna be here after Thanksgiving. Here's the 302. I built a 302 for it. It's out of a 94 Mustang right there. I built that. Just a whatever. There's a panoramic roof out of a Lincoln. What the heck was that son of a gun? Lincoln something. The high-end Lincoln. I cut the whole roof off. That's the panoramic roof, the headliner and all that. I'm putting this in that 4-door square body. There's a 4-door. There's a 4-door down there, 4-door square body like that, but it's a 4-door. I'm gonna take and separate all this, get the roof skin off and the part that holds the glass, the panoramic roof, and I'm gonna put this in the roof of that 85 or 86 4-door. And then I got the headliner too, because I'm gonna get the headliner, or get the interior shop to make this, cut what they need to cut off of it, and then mold it into the truck so it has the headliner. So I don't build engines. I don't. When I say I build it, I just had the long block done. The heads. So I had the bottom end done. I did a short, what is it? I get them confused. Short block, long block. I had a short block built. And then, because I dropped off the engine, they built it. The engine shop built it. So they did the heads, the cam, they did the rotating assembly, the heads, and then I put everything else on it. The intake. Now I can build them. I built my engine in 2008. I did everything else. So it was just the block, the heads, no oil pan. So I built the rest of it. And that is for that 61 Ford box truck. And then here's the rear end for it. That's the stock rear end that was in it. Did a disc brake conversion, upgraded the axles, and put a limited slip into it. So that's that. So be going full throttle on that soon enough. There's a bunch of stuff for the 68. I'm rebuilding speaking of that, Ginger Rogers, I know we're gonna get off subject a little bit. So I've been doing some checking around so I can talk. Hold on a second. Jason, you in the UK? You on that side of the pond? So the 63 Impala, I'm gonna get some stuff together. Man, that's what's up. Where at? So my buddy just for his 50th birthday a few months ago went to he always wanted to go to Ireland and stay over there for 2 weeks. So we went to Dublin, went to Ireland, went to the city, went to the cobblestones, went to the countryside. He stayed over there for 2 freaking weeks, and I was gelling like crazy. And the people that was out there, that he met on the countryside, invited him out to some festival like in 2 years. There's I don't know, so don't quote me on it. So I don't know what some festival that they're having, and it might be the Krampus or something. I like to see that too. The Krampus parade, the festival for Krampus. A lot of people look at it and go, oh no. I was like, yeah, I'd like to go to that, the Krampus festival. If anybody don't know what that is, look that up. Jason probably knows what that is. Look that up. But anyways, they invited him, and he said that he was telling us about it. And he said they said the people in the cottage or the community, whatever you want to call it, the village, whatever you want to call it over there. They said, man, bring you people. So, man, I would love to do that, the UK. That's cool, man. That's cool. Well, I really appreciate you watching, man. Hit the subscribe button. I got people all over. I had a guy from South Africa call. He actually called me on my cell phone a couple of weeks ago. But back to Ginger Rogers, the 5'3". Oh, man, I've had people call me from Australia. I've had people call me from South Africa. I had a guy call me from Germany one time. I had a guy call me from Greenland. They got my number and they called and started texting me, which is super, super blessed. I mean, super, super humble. Super humble. But back to the 5'3". So I'm getting some stuff together. So when I talk to the client next week on the 63 Impala, well, I'll subscribe back. Man, I really appreciate it. Yeah, I know that one. I'm in Wales by the snow. Yes, I know where that's at. Well, I mean, I've never been there, but I know the area. That's cool. So I'll tell you about my family history here in a second. So I got some stuff together. I got to get some stuff together, working on it with a buddy of mine, and for LS swap in the 63 Impala. So one of, I guess, subscribers or a person that one of my past clients, they reached out to me yesterday and said that they had a 4L60E transmission ready to go. Now that's cool. ORR. And it's called foosball. So y'all's football is not like United States football. The football that you talking about is with the soccer ball, right? Over here we talk about it with the pigskin. And I'm not a sports person because I got a buddy that pitches for the Atlanta Braves, and he went to a different team. So I support him, but sports-wise, I played it in school, in middle school and high school, but when I started making money, I didn't care nothing about watching sports. You guys also have rugby. You guys have rugby too? Or is that just Australia? And y'all got cricket. Ain't it cricket? Ain't that what it's called? Cricket? I think. So I found a 4L60E. One of my clients, super good client, he calls me yesterday and tells me he's got a 4L60E transmission ready to go, mild torque converter, ready to go. He had it built for a 70 Camaro, but then he went to a 4L80 because he went to a 6.2 that's making like 1,000 horsepower. So he couldn't use the 4L60 because it would just blow its guts out. So he told me yesterday it's ready to go. Make him an offer. And I'm like, I can't buy it and sell it. I said, give me something and I can go. Give me something and I can go one way or the other. And he gave me a number, and I said, fair enough. And so I said, I'll talk to my client. I talk to my client and see what he says. And when I know, you'll know. $1,000. He said he'd take $1,000 for it. So he's got the build sheet for it too, and it's way over $1,000. He said he just wants it out of his living room. Yeah, yeah, the daggone torque converter was probably $1,000. He said he's tired of walking around in his living room. He wanted it gone. So, so I got another buddy that does a bunch of LS swaps. I reached out to him today and said, I know it's the holidays, but kind of get me something next week. Kind of give me something to go on. You know, either a 4.8 or 5.3. Don't need a 5.7, 4.8, 5.3, 5.7. Don't need a 6.0. Don't need to put a 6.0 in the Impala because don't need a horsepower. Just need something drivability. And he texts me back and he says, I got a daggone wad of 5.3s and 4.8s. He said, I got you covered like gravy on a biscuit. And I said, okay. And I said, turnkey. And he's like, yeah, I got the computer. And he said, I got everything. Got everything. He said, it has to be gone through, you know, like freshly rebuilt. I had mine rebuilt too. Yep. All right, boys and girls. I appreciate every single one of you. Been on here 71 minutes. Got 9 thumbs up this time. So doing something good. Remember, Carl. I don't know who Carl is, but tell him I said hi. Remember Friday's Q&A. So if you got some questions, I hope you come back. Jason 011, Ginger Rogers. I hope everybody comes back Friday at 5. Be Q&A. Probably, you know, spend 20, 30 minutes. Talk about some questions. Y'all ask me something. If I can answer it, I'll answer it. If I can't, I'll tell you I won't. And we'll go from there. And then the hydro dip tank is supposed to be ready probably the second week of December. Everything willing. And then we'll go from there. Remember what I said, boys and girls? Hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. And remember what I always says, don't worry about the man up the road or down the road. Sweep off your own front porch while sweeping off anybody else's. Put God first, let loose and drag. Peace, love, and chick grace. I'm out.